Avantika.
Hi everyone, I'm Shreya.
And today we're here to do some science with you.
We're so excited. Thank you for having us both. I'll start with the fun fact about me. I love to cook.
And a fun fact about me is that I play the flute. Do any of you guys like music or like playing instruments? Some nods.
I love playing the piano.
Awesome. Piano super cool.
Wow, that's so exciting. We both go to Arizona State University. Has anyone heard of it or been to Arizona?
It's a really hot state. Lots of sun.
I've
Yep.
heard of
Yeah, it's like a desert.
I know. My friend lives there and she always talks to me saying, "It's so hot here."
Summertime is the worst. All right, so before we get started today, I have a quick question. So if everyone could close their eyes and listen carefully, go ahead and close your eyes. Raise your hand if you know what surface tension is and how it works. You can use the raise hand feature or raise your real hand. Awesome. Lower your hands and you can open your eyes.
Okay, so thank you everyone. And we want to ask you one more question. And with that, we want you to draw a scientist. So you can get your paper and your stationery or whatever you have to write out, and you can draw whatever you think a scientist looks like. And we'll give you a few minutes to draw them. And I'll play a little bit of music. Hopefully you all can hear it. It's okay if you can't. We'll just work on it. And ask any questions if you have any, because we're just here to help. Ooh, Jackson, I see that you're holding one up to the camera. Oh my gosh, I love that. Now, once you guys are done, or once you are done writing or drawing your scientist, we would love to see, so please hold it up to the camera if you can. I really love Jackson. Ooh, I see yours too, Susanna. Very cool. Y'all are so creative. Wow, Sakura. Awesome. So if you all want to see other people's drawings, you can always go into gallery mode real quick and just look at other students' drawings. They're pretty awesome. So I'll give you all a couple of more minutes or a couple of seconds just to wrap it up, and then we can talk about it.
Don't forget to add details like what's the scientist wearing? Does he have any props around him? Is he or she holding anything? Anything you want can be in that picture.
I think someone had safety goggles. Ooh, Jackson had safety goggles and a microscope. That's awesome. Those are really nice details.
It's a magnifying glass.
Oh yeah, that's what I meant. All right, so I'm hoping that we gave you all enough time to finish off your scientists. And we see that a lot of you have drawn really, really interesting scientists. Does anyone want to describe theirs by unmuting? I see Avantika's had hers out. Very nice. Sakura, you can go ahead. You're muted right now.
So this is my scientist making some serum.
Wow, I love that.
Thank you.
Anyone else? If not, that's okay. So usually when we do this activity in elementary schools, we notice that a lot of people actually draw boy scientists. And we were always wondering why, because we always sometimes imagine that scientists are boys, right? But here at Boundless Brilliance, we're here to tell you that a scientist can look like anyone. So all the drawings that you all drew are all correct because a scientist can really look like anyone. They don't have to have a certain style. They don't have to wear pants. They can wear a dress. They can have short hair. They can have long hair. And a scientist can look like each and every one of you. A scientist is just someone who does science. And you don't have to follow any certain look to do science, right?
Okay, so you guys want to hear a secret? I have a little secret for you guys if you want to hear it. Me and Shreya are actually scientists ourselves. We study neuroscience, which is all about the brain. I also study psychology, which is how people think. Isn't that cool? So scientists really can look just like anyone. They can look like me, they can look like you. And this is my scientist. I drew a girl scientist and she has a little beaker and a graduated cylinder and she's doing some experiments. So, oh, I love yours, Yoslin. You have a little lab station and everything set up. Very cool. We are from an organization called Boundless Brilliance. Does anyone know what brilliance means? What does it mean to be brilliant? Does anyone want to raise their hand and share if they think they know? Sakura, go ahead. What do you think it means to be brilliant?
Smart.
Yeah, awesome. So brilliant is someone who's really smart, who works hard, and who's intelligent, just like you guys. So today we are going to practice some skills that will help us be scientists. You guys ready for that? Yeah? Okay, Shreya's going to take you through an activity now.
Awesome. So now we're going to do an empowering activity on diversity. Does anyone know what diversity means or have any ideas on what it could mean?
It can mean a lot of people.
It can mean a lot of people. Very nice. Yeah, so we can just go ahead and learn what diversity means. So for this activity, I will say various statements like, if you identify as an Asian American, raise your hand. And if that applies to you, you can raise your hand either with your camera if it's on or with the Zoom raised hand feature. And since I can't see everyone and we're also live streaming, we can just assume that some people have raised their hands. So after we do that, I will say, let's celebrate them. And then we'll take a moment to clap and appreciate the people who are raising their hands, okay? So I will continue to say fun identities and we can celebrate everyone. And we can obviously start with, if you identify as Asian American, raise your hand. Woo, Asian Americans, yay, go Asian Americans. All right, If you identify as a boy, raise your hand. I don't identify as a boy. Woo! Boys! Go boys, you are amazing. Okay, if you identify as a girl, raise your hand. I identify as a girl. Okay, go girls! Amazing. Okay, if you identify as any other gender, raise your hand because we're inclusive here. Okay. Yay! Go everyone else. All right, so if you identify as Indigenous, raise your hand. Yay! People who are Indigenous. Okay, what's next? If you identify as, let's see, Black or African American, raise your hand. Yay! Awesome. Okay, if you identify as Latina or Latino, raise your hand. Awesome. Amazing. Okay, and if you identify as any other group that I forgot to mention or isn't in the circle, raise your hand. Woo! Awesome. Does anyone else want to say one? You can come up with any other fun group and we can have people raise our hands.
Or also Hispanic. Or also Hispanic.
Yeah, if you're Hispanic, raise your hand. Yay! Awesome. Let's see. Anyone else want to go? Sakura?
Mexican American?
If you're Mexican American, raise your hand. Yay! Okay. Anyone else want to go? Amantika, would you like to add one?
Yeah, I identify as Indian American. Does anyone else identify as Indian American? Yeah,
I do. Yay! Awesome. And I think someone else, if you are a Latino and from Mexico, raise your hand. Because I got a message in the chat about that one. Yay! Representation. I really love this activity because we really get to see so many different identities, right? We get to see Latinos, Asian Americans, everyone, and everyone is represented. So it's important to say identities that even aren't in the circle. And sometimes we forget to mention because there's so many of us and there's such diversity in the world. So everyone is different. And that's honestly what makes us unique, right? Because it's important to celebrate everyone for their identities and the stories they hold with those identities. And in the end, we have to remind ourselves to treat everyone with kindness and respect. And we should always find a reason to celebrate one another because we're so different and our differences make us so interesting, right? And it applies to science as well, because in science, every single thing you do will be different because the experiments, the people involved, even the materials and the goals you have. Like today, the materials involve soap and, all paper and writing utensils. But maybe in another experiment, you would do an experiment with popcorn or something. So everything is so different. And they all come together to do something, whether it's a great experiment or maybe nothing happened. So each attempt is still worth celebrating. And every project you do, failure or not, is worth celebrating because you brought together so many different elements to make the trial.
Okay, so now we're going to move on and practice these skills that we learned. So we learned how to be inclusive and how to be diverse, right? So now we are ready to be scientists. So we are going to do a science experiment together. Yeah, do I see some excited faces? So let me go ahead and share my video. And let's go through our supplies first. First, I have a bowl of water right here. So if you guys want to follow along at home, you can bring your own supplies. If not, you can just watch me and that's completely okay as well. So here's my bowl of water. I actually have 2 bowls of water, but you can do this with just one and that's completely okay. And then I have a little dish soap right here. You can't really see it on the camera, but in my plate, I have a little dish soap. And here is my pepper. Awesome. So we have all our materials laid out. That's always the first step of a science experiment. We are going to get all our materials. And then our second step is thinking of a question. What are we going to be researching today? So I'll give you guys a hint. Today we are going to be learning about surface tension. Okay, so our research question is going to be, what is surface tension and how does it work? And we're going to learn about that after our experiment. Sound good? Okay, so the first step for this experiment, we're going to grab our pepper. I'll give you guys a couple seconds if you're following along at home. Yeah, everyone has their pepper. And we are going to sprinkle just a little pepper in our bowl of water. So you see my pepper in the water? Do you guys all have your pepper in a bowl of water? Awesome. And now we are going to make some observations. Who knows what an observation is? That's a big word, huh? An observation is something that we see around us. It's a statement about what do we see. So does anyone want to raise their hand and give me an observation about what they see in front of them right now? Lalo, go ahead. Any one of you guys.
The pepper's floating.
Good observation, you guys. So you see the peppers floating right on top of the water, yeah? It's not sinking, it's not at the bottom, it's floating right there on the top. Good observation. Jackson, you want to share your observation?
Most of the pepper is like close together.
Okay, yeah, the pepper's clumped up. And if we give it a couple seconds, it'll spread out a little bit like you see mine doing. Good observation. We'll take one more observation. Who wants to share? Shreya, do you have an observation on what you see on my screen?
Yeah, we can even make a qualitative observation, like the color of the pepper.
Yeah.
The color of the pepper looks brown and black in like warm tones, right?
Awesome. I see some people sneezing. Did the pepper get in your nose? All right. Okay, so our second step is going to be to make make a hypothesis. And a hypothesis is a guess on what do we think is going to happen. So let me tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my finger and I'm just going to dip it in my bowl of pepper. So I'm not going to do it yet because I want you guys to guess. What do you think is going to happen when I do that? So does anyone have a hypothesis? You want to raise your hand and I can call on you? Yoselin, go ahead.
When we put your finger there, it's probably gonna spread.
The pepper will spread out. Does anyone else have a hypothesis? How about Sakura?
I think the pepper will stick to your finger.
Okay, good hypothesis. Very cool. We'll take one more. How about Shannon? Did you have a hypothesis?
Yeah, I think it's going to it's going to make like a hole in there and the pepper's not gonna stick to your finger.
Okay, very cool. So let's go ahead and do part one of the experiment. So I'm taking my finger. There's nothing on my finger right now. You guys want to take your fingers too so we can do it together? Take your finger, it's all clean, nothing on it. And now let's just go ahead and dip it in the pepper. What happens? Nothing happened. Maybe I have a little pepper stuck on my finger, but that's all. And so our bowl of pepper still looks the same, right? We still have the pepper floating on top. We still have the same observations we made before. Yeah? Okay, now part two. This is the exciting part. You guys ready for this? We are going to take our same finger. If you have a napkin, you can wipe the pepper off. If not, it's okay. We're going to take the same finger. I'll give you guys a couple seconds to clean up your fingers. And we're going to dip it in the soap. So you guys have your dish soap. Mine's right here. And I'm gonna get my finger nice and soapy. Make sure you get soap on your finger all over. And now we are gonna take our soapy finger and dip it in the pepper. Are you guys ready? 3, 2, 1. What happened? Did you guys see that? Did your pepper do the same thing my pepper did? Yeah. Oh my gosh, isn't that so cool? Who wants to unmute and give me another observation? What happened? Jackson, go ahead.
Nearly all my peppers sank.
Oh, all your peppers sank. Okay, some of mine sank too. It's there at the bottom, which is different from what it was at the beginning, right? At the beginning, our pepper was just floating on top. Now it's on the bottom. What else happened for you, Lalo?
The pepper moves away.
Moves away. It's like the pepper ran away from our finger, right? And if you look at my bowl I'm sharing right now, there's a little hole in the center and all the pepper is on the side. Yeah. Okay, awesome. So why did this happen, you guys? Why did the pepper go to the side? I'm gonna stop sharing my phone camera and we can go back to the camera that you can see my face. So I'll give it a second for that to be spotlighted so you guys can all see my face. Awesome. Okay, so let's talk about this. What happened? Our pepper ran away from our finger that had soap on it. So basically, water has this property called surface tension, and that's what we're going to learn about. So surface tension means that the water molecules stick to themselves and they create this kind of film on top of the water. And so that makes the water strong and it can support light things like pepper. So that's how things float on water. Remember, we talked about how the pepper was floating on the top? Yeah? So that was because of surface tension. And then because we put soap on our finger and then put the soap in the water, the soap broke up the surface tension. So the water wasn't strong enough to hold the pepper up anymore. So remember Jackson made the observation that some of his pepper sunk to the bottom? That's because the surface tension broke. And that's why all the pepper went to the sides. And so this is really important in our real life because the pepper are just like germs. So imagine the pepper being germs, and whenever we put soap on our hands, all the germs run away, right? And that's what we want to happen. Yeah? Was that a fun experiment? Yeah? Did you guys enjoy that? Awesome. So we learned all about surface tension, right? How things float on water, and then we learned things like soap can break the surface tension. Awesome. Very good, you guys. I loved how engaged you were, how you followed along and listened to directions. That's awesome.
You all did amazing, and I absolutely loved when you all shared what you thought about the experiment and your hypotheses. So the experiment we did was just an example of physics, and that's a type of science. Does anyone know any other kinds of science?
I'll give you guys a hint. We talked about 2 types of science when we introduced ourselves. Do you guys remember what me and Shreya study?
Neuroscience.
There you go.
Yeah.
Guys.
Awesome. Those are great examples. And there are also tons of other science like robotics, meteorology, microbiology. And even though there are tons of different kinds of science, they all have a few things in common, right? Because all science involves asking questions, making observations, being curious about the world, and proposing ways to test these questions, just like we did today, and observing the results and making a conclusion. So in addition to all those different types of science, there are also different types of scientists, right? Do you know anyone who is a scientist apart from me and Avantika? All right. So I can share a scientist that I know. So hopefully you all can see, this is a photo of me And my friend Inas. This is my friend Inas tonight, and she is a Sudanese American. She's also a neuroscience major. She's studying the brain just like me and Avantika, and she wants to work at a laboratory, a lab, studying about memory. And every day she wants to learn more about it. I have another friend. Her name is Jay, and she is a Black Latino American, and she wants to learn about genetics. So remember that scientists can look like anything and anyone, and they can want to do anything that they want to do, anything that they want to study.
Yeah, so science is all around us, right? Even in something as simple as a bowl of water, there's science. So let's do a quick review of what we learned today. We learned all about diversity, right? We learned that scientists can look like anyone, and we all shared our pictures of scientists that look so great. And you guys can maybe hang that up somewhere in your room so you can look at it every day. And then you can see scientists can be everyone. And then we also learned about surface tension. Does anyone want to raise their hand and tell me what is surface tension? What did you learn? What does surface tension help us do? What is it? Does anyone know? Lalo, go ahead.
Clean.
Say that one more time.
Clean.
It helps us clean. Okay, good. And we saw that with the soap, right? All the germs ran away from the soap. Awesome. And we are going to end today by doing a fun little chant. You guys ready for that? So this is how it's going to go. We're going to start really, really quiet, almost whispering. And then we're going to get a little louder, and then a little louder, and a little louder. And we are going to be chanting, "We are brilliant." Okay? So I'm going to count down from 3. Remember to start really quiet, and we're going to get a little louder and a little louder. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. We are brilliant. We are brilliant. We are brilliant.
Brilliant.
We are brilliant.
We are brilliant.
Awesome, everyone.
Yay.
So amazing. Sharing a picture of a scientist. Thank you. Very cool, you guys. You did such a good job. Do you have any questions for us? We have about 5 minutes left. We can go over questions if you guys want to share anything. Did you guys have fun? Yeah? Awesome.
Yay.
No questions? Does anyone want to share maybe a fun science experiment that they've done before today? You can give your friends ideas on science experiments that you've done before. I can talk about one.
Baking soda volcano.
A volcano, that's a fun one. A little,
Whoa.
right? Lots of supplies for that. Very cool. And Sakura, go ahead. Have you done a fun experiment?
Yeah, I've done a lot of science experiments, but my favorite one is when I learned about sound waves with gummy bears.
Wow.
Whoa, so cool.
That's so interesting.
I really like sound waves because I play the flute, right? And how do you think music is made? Through sound waves. Just like your voice is sound waves too. Jackson, did you want to share something? Did you have your hand up?
I was gonna say the sounds.
Uh-huh. Very cool. Yoslin, go ahead.
I learned how to make Play-Doh with peeps and flour and oil.
No way.
Wow.
Very cool. Sakura, do you have another science experiment?
Yeah, I learned about the ear and how you hear. So first so when it goes in, it vibrates from it goes through the outer ear, then the eardrum, then malleus, incus stapes, and then it goes through the over window to the cochlea, and then the vibrations turn into sounds, and then it goes into the brain.
Wow,
Then the brain reads the sounds.
Wow.
That's so cool. I'm learning about that stuff in my college class. So you are way ahead. Look at you go. Very cool. Lalo, what do you want to share?
Coke and Mentos.
Coke and Mentos. That's a fun one too.
That is a fun one. Wow. One of my experiments that I've done before is that I made brownies, and then I've had different ingredients and different batches of the brownies so I can see how they affect how tall the brownies are.
Yeah, so science really is all around us, right? It's in our cooking, it's in the Coke we drink, it's in what we hear. So cool. So it looks like you guys have been scientists even before today. And then you guys can continue to be scientists as you move forward, as you take more classes, as you do more experiments. So just remember, anyone can be a scientist, and you guys are brilliant. Thank you so much for having us, you guys.
Thank you, everyone. You all did amazing today.
Thank you.